I'm gonna give you 6 of the best core exercises that you can do while you're utilizing a POWERLASTIC band, and we're gonna start right now. What's up everybody, it's Dane Miller from GarageStrength.com. If this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in becoming a better athlete, you wanna be more coordinated, you wanna be more explosive, you wanna have better abs, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a beast. So working abs and trunk stability is one of the most pivotal points behind being a world-class athlete. If you watch some of the best running backs in the world, some of the best sprinters in the world, some of the best wrestlers in the world, some of the best tennis players in the world, they all have extremely dynamic trunk control, extremely effective dynamic trunk control. They can run and cut very, very rapidly without losing their posture. They're able to control their gut and their trunk through various different positions. And so it's important that when we're training our abs, it's okay to isolate our abs. It's very, very effective to isolate our abs, but we need to start to utilize different means of resistance. It's not just utilizing our body weight. It's not just doing a plank. It's doing something like a plank in a dynamic motion. It's doing different weighted positions, so different hanging positions, and we start to work through all these different ranges. And now, when we then transfer over to do those compound movements, or if we're sprinting or doing speed work, now we can feel it transfer a little bit more effectively because we're training from a global perspective. And that's the most important concept behind training our abs with a band, is that we are forcing different coordination pathways, okay? It's taking our abs and coordinating it with our lats a little bit, or with our lower back, or with our hips. And that's one of the biggest aspects behind training our trunk and our abs with a band. And that brings us to our first 2 exercises, the banded hollow body rocks supersetted with the banded bicycles, okay? So these movements are extremely difficult, and we've got our POWERLASTIC band. This is our gold band, just our normal strength band. You can click on the link down below. You can head over to GarageStrength.com and you can pick this up today, right now, and you're gonna get put through a horrible ab workout. An extremely difficult ab workout once you get this band in the mail. But what we do with the hollow body rocks is we want to really focus on pushing our belly into the floor. We want to think about our lumbar spine pushing into the floor as hard as possible. And as the band starts to pull us back towards the rack where it's actually being held, we want to really squeeze and bring that back up top. And I even like to focus on having a slight pause at the top position when we're doing the rocks, okay? So we wanna do that hollow position, really focus on squeezing that gut, pushing our lumbar spine down into the floor. And if you have something like an anterior pelvic tilt, this is a great exercise to help with any potential back pain. And I like to superset this and go right into banded bicycles, okay? So the reason why I like to do this right away is that I have found there's 2 means to training my abs, or our abs as athletes, effectively. It's either over a long period of time, so very long duration, right? So that's where this falls into play, or it's through very, very explosive work. And what I've found is that when we're doing hollow body rocks in conjunction with those bicycles, it's a really, really long set. This might be 60 to 90 seconds. So you're really, really fatigued, and that ends up forcing higher levels of coordination, which in turn leads to better output from your gut. And when we're doing different athletic movements, now your body can handle that under a lot of fatigue. Remember, if you're tired and you're playing in the 4th quarter of a football game or the 3rd period of an ice hockey game, you can start to break down in your gut. You can start to break down in fatigue. But if you're doing these longer sets, it's gonna help transfer and have that nice, long strength endurance. Now, those next 2 exercises that I love to pair together are gonna be alternating VUps, okay? So alternating VUps is gonna be similar to the bicycle abs, but slightly different. And I like to superset that with rotating lunge and hold. And so when we're doing the alternating VUps, I wanna see one leg stay down and raise that right elbow. Let's say we're raising our left leg. We wanna see that right elbow get towards that left knee. And the reason why this is challenging, okay, if you're a pitcher or if you're a thrower, or you're doing anything where you really, really favor one side over the other, you can start to feel your body rotating the wrong way on the floor. So what I recommend doing, especially let's say you're a right-handed pitcher, or you're a thrower who's right-handed, typically your right shoulder into your left knee is going to be very, very strong. So if we do the opposite side first, now that pitcher who has that weird problem with their oblique sling, now we can start to really train that, and they're going to have improved shoulder stability because their gut starts to coordinate more effectively. So we're going to be doing those alternating V-ups. We want to do the weak side first, then the strong side second, and then we're going to rest about a minute, and we're going to stand up and we're going to do the rotating lunge into a hold. So I like to do movements with our trunk that are going to be almost a compound movement. They are a compound movement, right? So we're going to do this rotating lunge, and this is going to be helping us with anti-rotation. So if we are a wrestler or even a field hockey player, a lacrosse player, this is a movement that's going to help us increase our striking speed. It's going to help us handle if there's force coming from various directions and hitting us from the side. When we rotate and lunge, we're going to feel that trunk coordination into our feet. So that's the key concept here, is that we want to train our abs from an isolated perspective with the band, but we also want to train our abs with the band when we're doing compound movements. Because we're using the POWERLASTIC, it really targets the trunk throughout that lunge position. Okay, so it's a really unique method to isolating our abs, but also teaching our hips and our lower back and our glutes to fire together. And that's where you're gonna see this transfer really well to the sporting realm, is now you're doing the alternating V-ups, and we're pre-fatiguing with the alternating V-ups. You're gonna rest about 30 seconds. You're gonna do that lunge, rotate and hold, squeeze through that entire trunk when you rotate and hold. Try to prevent that band from pulling you back, and then just slowly work back into the starting position. This is a great exercise for pitchers. It's an amazing exercise for cricketers. It's an amazing exercise for throwers. And it goes a really long way to overall stability and tremendous increase in sports performance. Now, my final two movements that I love to do, now these are both gonna be standing, okay? So we wanna do a push down and hold with our HAF POWERLASTIC band. Click on the link down below. It's available at garagestrength.com, just like I told you earlier. And we're gonna superset that with banded Chinese side bend. So the banded Chinese side bend is a movement that I stole directly from the Chinese Olympic weightlifting team. And this is an exercise that I asked one of their coaches. She spoke very clear English. I said, why do you guys always do these side bends, these side raises? And she said, what ends up happening is that if we can train our obliques and our sort of like our side abs here, and that sling in conjunction with our lats, now we're gonna have a little bit more stability in an overhead position. And that's gonna help us, because they do a lot of snatches and a lot of power jerks, that's gonna help them be a little bit more stable overhead. So it's the same concept if we're talking about pitchers, tennis players, volleyball players, basketball players. Now we're starting to train the obliques in conjunction with our lats a bit, and we're starting to work that all together into our IT band, into our glutes, even into our quads a little bit. And if we're focusing on our feet, now we're gonna have greater proprioception, which is gonna help us take the Chinese side bends and apply it directly to our sport and have a more stable overhead position. If you're a tennis player, pitcher, baseball player, anything along those lines, wrestlers are overhead a lot, and now this helps us. And when we're supersetting this with that push down and hold, that HAF band that I like to utilize, it's like a gym inside of a band. It's extremely strong, so you've got to bring it down and squeeze through your abs, squeeze and contract, while also utilizing your hamstrings to hold yourself in place. So it's a way to train in a very unique fashion that's gonna lead, if you're a wrestler, think about being really heavy on somebody's head. Now you're using that POWERLASTIC band, and it's gonna transfer to being really heavy on your opponent's head. If you're training the Chinese side bends in a banded position, this is gonna help you be more stable overhead. So now we're using these movements in conjunction together to help with your sports performance, and it's a way to isolate your trunk and your abs while still using it synergistically with your posterior chain, even with your quads as well. So it's a great way, it's a sneaky way to train your trunk, train your abs, and improve your overall core stability. So take one of these movements today, use one of them. I really like the lunge into a hold. Use that today. Use the hollow body rocks with the bands. It's extremely difficult. You're gonna feel it. You could do 3 sets of 30 and you'll be lit up. So take advantage of this. You can head over to garagestrength.com. You can pick up our POWERLASTIC bands today to help you use one of these movements. If you want more content around training with bands, you could click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.